What if Tanjiro was reborn with all his powers and memories? The full timeline. Alright, so let's do this. Imagine Tanjiro wakes up before the family massacre. Not as a baby, not years earlier. He's reborn with everything he learned and experienced at the end of the story. Sun-breathing, all water-breathing forms, the Demon Slayer mark, transparent world knowledge, fight memories against Muzan, Upper Moons, even his Infinity Castle experience. Now, some of you might be thinking, doesn't that break the entire story? Well, kind of, but not in a way that ruins everything. In fact, it makes some things way more interesting. So let's walk through the entire timeline and see what happens. Rebirth. Before the family massacre. Tanjiro wakes up on the morning he leaves to sell charcoal. First, he thinks it's a dream, until he smells everything. The forest, the smoke, and that faint hint of blood that will come later. He remembers clearly what happens that night. Now, here's the tricky part. He cannot prevent some of it. The family massacre? Some of it must happen. Muzan is already coming, but Tanjiro can control the outcome for Nezuko, and he immediately grabs her and hides, ensuring she survives the attack. The rest of the family dies. Painful? Yes, but Tanjiro knows this is unavoidable. It's a lesson in strategy. He's already lived through it once. And some of you might think, would he try to kill Muzan himself? Nope, not yet. That would be suicide at this point. He has to play smart. Giyu shows up, and Tanjiro outplays him. Giyu arrives after the attack. In the original story, Tanjiro panics and begs, and we all know what happens next. Not this time. Tanjiro talks calmly, rationally. He proves Nezuko can control herself immediately. No chase, no hesitation. Giyu is suspicious, but he still sends Tanjiro to Urokodaki. And this is where things change dramatically. Tanjiro doesn't need 2 years to learn forms. He already remembers water-breathing, sun-breathing basics, transparent world, even sword angles. What he lacks is raw stamina, so he still trains physically, but mentally, he's untouchable. Urokodaki training. A speed run. The 2-year training montage? Gone. Literally gone. Tanjiro shows up and starts cutting the boulder within weeks, not years. Urokodaki notices immediately. Something is off. But the results speak for themselves. He's faster, smarter, and more precise than anyone should be at this point in life. This already alters how the final selection plays out. Final selection? Quick cleanup. Hand demon? Dead in seconds. Tanjiro doesn't scream or rage. He calculates positions and executes. Nezuko helps pass unnoticed. Some of the other final selection participants survive because Tanjiro blocks the demon's attacks and coordinates timing. Already, we have a stronger Demon Slayer core at the very start. And yes, some of you might be thinking, he's cheating, but remember, he's reborn with full knowledge. This isn't unfair, it's logical. Early missions. Tanjiro speedruns the story Swamp Demon, dead, Drum Demon, gone. Kyogai doesn't even touch him. Spider Mountain is the first real test. And it's interesting because Tanjiro already knows the layout of the Spider Demon lair. He coordinates with Inosuke and Zenitsu, who are still green at this point, to neutralize threats with minimal struggle. The Spider family? Wiped out cleanly, without the months of panic the original timeline had. Rui? A different outcome. Rui's mountain is where things really diverge. Tanjiro doesn't need to unlock sun-breathing in desperation. He already has it. This means the fight ends much faster. He still talks to Rui, shows empathy, tries to connect, but ultimately executes efficiently. Giyu arrives, but the fight is already over before it reaches desperation. The Hashira meeting afterward? Smooth. Tanjiro doesn't argue emotionally. He just explains what he knows, which Hashira to trust, and how Nezuko works. Mugen Train. Rengoku survives. Fast forward. Mugen Train. Tanjiro warns Rengoku subtly. Not, I know everything level, because that would sound insane, but enough for Rengoku to fight smarter and anticipate Akaza. Akaza still shows up. Tanjiro assists earlier. Result? Rengoku survives. The train mission ends with minimal loss. This alone changes the morale of the core and the Hashira. Imagine surviving this early without losing your strongest flame Hashira. Huge ripple effect. Entertainment District. Upper Moon 6 wiped. Gyutaro and Daki? Already predicted. Tanjiro coordinates with Tengen, Zenitsu, and Inosuke. The fight is shorter, cleaner, fewer near-death moments. Daki doesn't get the chance to nearly kill everyone. Gyutaro dies faster. Tengen retains his arm. Zenitsu isn't trapped, and Inosuke survives without being critical. Even Muzan notices. He's starting to realize the world has changed, but it's too late. Swordsmith Village, Muzan's Error. Upper Moon 5 and 4 attack, but Tanjiro already knows attack patterns, weak points, and the terrain. He coordinates the Hashira and Demon Slayers efficiently. Muichiro awakens the Demon Slayer mark without dying, Mitsuri fights better, and Giyu assists cleanly. Nezuko's sun immunity? Already factored in. Tanjiro fights alongside her. No unnecessary collateral damage. Upper Moon 4's clones? Decimated quickly. Everyone who survived Spider Mountain and Final Selection now benefits from his guidance. Hashira training, preparation for war. Tanjiro uses his Reborn knowledge to train everyone faster. He knows each Hashira's limits and weaknesses. He pushes them exactly to where they need to be. He prepares them logistically for Infinity Castle. This is where we see a fully optimized Demon Slayer core. And honestly, some of the deaths in canon become avoidable or at least delayed. Infinity Castle, cleaner victories. Tanjiro now fights with full strategy and foresight. Some deaths are still unavoidable. Shinobu, Genya sacrifices, but the upper moons fall faster and with less collateral. Tanjiro can take hits for Hashira, regrow, strategize in real time, and coordinate attacks like a master. Sunrise countdown? No last-minute improvisation. He already knows the rhythm, the 13th form, and how Muzan reacts to each move. Muzan is exposed to sunlight earlier. The final fight is smoother. Ending. Peace and predictability. The curse is broken. Nezuko becomes fully human. Tanjiro lives, this time without regret. He has already lived the nightmare once. Now he corrects the mistakes and ensures the core survives as best as possible. All while maintaining canon logic. No Demon King. Tanjiro Hashira deaths are minimized, but still tragic. The world sees a fully trained, fully informed Tanjiro as a symbol of hope and strategy. Some of you might be thinking, isn't that too OP? Yeah, kinda. But that's the point. Knowing the future, with all your skills intact, is terrifyingly effective. The story still works, just cleaner and faster. Bottom line, Tanjiro Reborn with all his memories doesn't destroy the story. It optimizes it. Early victories, fewer deaths, Rengoku survives, Tengen survives. Battles are cleaner, more precise. Muzan is weaker, defeated earlier, Nezuko stays human, Tanjiro has peace. This is basically a perfect what-if timeline without breaking logic. And yes, the ripple effect? It's huge. Demon Slayer core becomes more lethal, more efficient, and the world suffers less because of him. Some of you might want me to explore a more extreme version. What if Tanjiro told the Hashira everything at the start? Or what if he took preemptive strikes against Muzan years earlier? That timeline would be insane.